And how was your life growing up?
So I would say like when I was like growing up, I was not like a super mega social kid, like especially like during my teenage years, I was like playing a lot of computer games, watching anime, and probably all of this is like the reason why I kind of got into esports because all of, like what was like my kind of background as a child. Like as a kid, I would go to the internet cafe with my classmates to hang out. Then eventually I got a PC. And like once I got a PC, you just couldn't get me out of the house.
How did you get into esports?
So let's start like this, like that. Like I got interested in League of Legends, and I wanted to get better at League of Legends. And the best way to do that was like by watching tournaments and by watching professional players play, like on like them like streaming and stuff like that. So that was the moment when I kind of got into esports for the first time, and when I got like so interested in it, I really wanted to go and see it live. So in 2013 was the first time when I went and saw it like live. It was LCS. It was Summer Split. It was, I think, 2013, and like I went there. I got to experience this atmosphere. It was still like the old ESL studio. It was like not super big. It's like not like a like right now like majors when like you are a part like of a big mass, right? It was small, but still the atmosphere was super cool, and like I got to experience it, and I was like, okay, I want this, but in the Baltic states, like where I live, right? So I came back and I was like trying to find a way of what I can do like for like the community to grow. The thing is, I was not a caster, I was not a talent back then, like, and like it was not on the level where like you would need like an interview or anything like that. So the only thing I could do it was to take pictures. Like I would be like a photographer. I would just like write to organizations and say like, hey, you guys are going to have a LAN. Can I come over, take pictures? I'll give you the pictures for absolutely for free. Just like so, there's like some kind of hype, so people get to know about the event, and the community grows, and I'm growing together with the community. So like I've been doing that for a long time, and then when it comes to my masters, I moved to Switzerland, and that was like the moment when I could not do what I was doing before, because previously I would go to lands, take pictures, grow hype, but while being in a different country, there was nothing I could do. So I started streaming, and the first game that I was streaming like was Heroes of the Storm, and again I was like really interested in their esports scene. So I was like trying to find a way how I can kind of like become a part of the esports scene while sitting in a different country. So that was the moment when I was like, okay, let's make interviews, because at that moment there was not a lot of people that were making this kind of content that would be like just like write to the professional players and like, hey, can I interview? Like, can we talk? Like back then it was on Skype. It was not even Discord. So like, and right now, when I came like to the CSGO scene, I did the same thing. I was like, hey, can we make an interview? And of course, like I was not trying to reach out like tier one. Like you, when you just go into the scene, you don't try to like, hey, simple, let's make an interview or stuff like that, because he's getting like bombarded by that stuff like all the time. You just start like someone who is like really willing to show themselves, like to like put themselves on the radar, and that's like the upcoming talents. Those are the academy players, and like I had like so much fun making interviews with them, like and showing them like to the community. So yeah, basically through like making interviews on my own on YouTube, I end up getting to WePlay, and down like now to ESL.
Any pointers you'd like to share with fellow esports aspirants?
You need to keep in mind that I mean that is obvious for any profession that you're going to have, but that sometimes you'll have situations where like it feels like nothing is moving, you're not progressing, or maybe like your progress is going down, and it's absolutely fine. Like if you keep on grinding, it will work out. Maybe like I don't really have like three, but like there's like one thing that like I really feel is true for like a lot of talents, is that you really need to invest, maybe like not only yourself, but unfortunately sometimes you really also need to invest it financially, right? Like because you need to like kind of show that you are actually passionate enough for this profession, that you're ready to even like lose money. Like for example, when it comes to me, the first season of WePlay Academy League, I wrote to WePlay and I was like, hey guys, can I come over? They just like give me a press pass and it's all good. And they give me the press pass. So like I flew in, I stayed like at the hotel, like I covered all of that. So like, you know, like I didn't earn anything from that trip besides like getting more things for my CV. And getting the, like that experience for the CV is like really, really, really like, impactful on like your upcoming career. And I already got like to talk like to a lot of casters, for example, like okay, I'll say like names, but like different casters that like also they had situations where like they'll be like, hey, I'm gonna just like fly to this event and I'm gonna cast for you for free and I'm gonna slip you know, like on the land floor just like to kind of get something into my CV. And like I feel like that's like sometimes it's like a problem because people like expect that like right from the beginning they will be like financially compensated, or for example like they will not lose anything. But in reality, if you really like want to progress like quick, you'll have to like sacrifice something, and sometimes it's like it can be like the finances. So yeah, that's unfortunately that's how it is, but that's like kind of the best way to show your passion. I kind of feel like if you draw a graph like that goes like this, you know, like well, on one side it will be, for example, the amount of passion that you have, like for example at 0, and like you have the financial compensation like this. Like if you don't have a passion for something, then like you will want to have like a really high compensation for it. But if you have high passion for it, then like here like you will not like need like any financial compensation, or for example you will even lose for it because like you'll see there's a hobby and, you know, like lose money. So like, you know, like the sweet spot of course is like when you can both like be in both places in the top. But that's
And what kind of struggles did you have to go through in your esports career?
I would say when it comes to like making interviews, the biggest struggles that I had was usually when, for example, players would not respond to my DMs and be like would not accept my invitation for interviews. But I would say there were some situations when I would maybe like second guess myself, like, you know, like think about like, should I be doing this? Like, am I really meant for this? Because when it comes like to preparing different questions, it usually like takes me like quite a lot of time because I really like try to make like good questions, especially like when I have an interview that like I prepare for like in advance, you know, like not like on the fly. And those like are sometimes like situations where like I can like second guess myself, but I know that like a lot of other people went through this, and it is like absolutely normal, like it is absolutely normal to second guess yourself, to struggle with things, because eventually it will get easier. Like it's hard because you're kind of like doing something outside of your comfort zone, but the more you get exposed to it, the easier it will be. So, you know, for me it was really hard in the beginning. Oh my god, like in the beginning I would like legit like I would print out the text that I'll be asking the person. Like, you know, like I travel to an event and like while I'm sitting in the plane, I'm like learning by heart the text of like how I'm like starting the topic, how I ask the question, and what I can answer, like, or how I can react to like the answer and stuff like that. Right? That was how it was like in the beginning. Now it's like way more like chill. I'm like asking a question, just like, you know, like way like more natural. But back then, I just like really had to prepare. But I mean, I guess like that was a struggle that I had. But like, I kind of knew that like it will get easier. It's just like going to the gym. Like in the beginning, it's hard. Then it gets easier with all of that stuff. Yeah. It's just like the thing is, I never had a situation or a moment when I felt like I don't want to do this. Like I'm done with this. I never had a situation like this. I had situations when like, for example, like I feel sad or I feel mad, but right away my brain was like, this is how you're feeling at the moment, and this feeling will pass, and you'll be happy that you're doing this. You know, like whenever you have like a super like stressful event and the changes that are happening at the last moment, you're like, I'm so not done. Like I'm so not made for this. I'm not made like for last minute like changes. Like I need to prepare for things, and here I cannot do that. In the end of the day, I know like even if I'm stressing out a lot at the moment, in a week I'll be like, this was such a good event. I want to go to it again. I wish I could redo it again. So And also like one of the reasons why, for example, I never had the situation where like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm not gonna try to do esports anymore. Is because what do I do then? Then I need to go like back to biology. But I kind of already feel like I already went all in into esports. Like it needs to work out. I need to tank it, like as much as I can. So I honestly like never had like a situation where like I would think that I'm not done. I'm like I should not be doing this.
What did you learn while working WePlay Academy as talent?
I would say that in the beginning of WePlay, I was stressing out quite a lot because like you feel like, okay, this is my shot, like one chance, one opportunity, like just like the song goes, and you feel like you feel like it's like stressing you out because like you don't want to fail because if you do, maybe you'll not have another chance, and you've been trying to do like things just like for this moment, and then again like you're being put in like in like out of your comfort zone, so you don't feel that comfortable, you're feeling stressed out, but then like, you get to host a panel for like 10 days in a row, like, and eventually you cannot be stressing out for 10 days in a row, like you either just give up or you just adjust, and I end up like adjusting. So like in like all upcoming interviews or situation when I had like to kind of like host something, I'll be like, hey, it's so fun and good. Like it really gave me confidence. That's what I would say. It really during WePlay, it really gave me confidence in like in myself. So now like way more easygoing, and I overthink less, because back then I was like, okay, I need to prepare a lot. I need to prepare a lot. So I still prepare a lot, but not as much as I did before.
How did you become a part of the IEM Katowice lineup?
I basically got a Twitter DM from ESL asking if I would be interested to be like a part of the lineup, of the talent lineup, and if like those days are not taken. And I was like, yes guys, of course, it would be an honor first of all, and yes, of course, even if I know I have my birthday or something, I am going to that event. So basically just got a DM on Twitter. But like, it kind of sounds like, hey, it was so easy for you, Heccu, you just got a DM. To actually get the DM, you need to get noticed. And to get noticed, you need to do a lot of things. Like you produce interviews on YouTube, you get to work with WePlay, you post some like nice memes because people like memes, and that way you end up getting noticed. And then eventually someone goes into your DMs and says like, hey Heccu, or like, hey, put the name, want to be a part of it.
What is your biggest takeaway from IEM Katowice?
So my biggest takeaway would be that the talent that work in CSGO are amazing, because in all honesty, I was so shocked. Like I was like, okay, Heccu, you're going to a tier 1 event. It's not gonna be easy for you, and you might have problems working with some people. Not because I'm a conflicting person, but I was expecting like tier 1 casters, tier 1 hosts. They might be like really like big-headed. Like they are the top of the top. So they can be like, like maybe like a little bit of divas and stuff like that. And I was kind of like morally preparing myself for that. I come to the event and they're absolutely normal human beings. And like, I'm in shock. Like, no, there's no drama. There's like, I don't know. No one is being like, oh no, I don't want this, I want that. And like things like this. And I'm like, wow, this is like so nice. I don't know. Maybe I had like just like a really bad impression of CSGO, I know, casters or analysts, but I would not say so. Like you kind of expect a behavior like this when like people are big, like they have like big names and stuff like that. But no, like when it comes to CS, that I was certainly surprised by how normal that top tier talent are, like in a daily basis, like in like daily situations, because like it's like one thing like what you see on the broadcast. You can have a situation where like like we have like two casters that like they are fine casting, but then outside of this like the broadcast, like they just hate each other. It's like a dog and a cat and they're just fighting. But during the broadcast they'll be like all professional and stuff. No, like they're actually all good people. I don't know, I was surprised. Maybe some people will say like, hey Heccu, yeah, it's not hard to be a decent human being. For some people it is. Somehow, for some reason, sometimes it can be hard to be a decent human being, and somehow Even though they are big names, they have no problems being so.
Do you have a favorite moment from IEM Katowice, and what is it?
Probably my most favorite moment during IEM Katowice was when I got to interview Brocky, because he's a fellow Latvian. You know, like, and whenever like I get to hype someone from the Baltic states, or especially from Latvia, I'm like, yeah guys, let's go, we're doing so good. And I got to interview him during the grand final, which they end up winning. But yeah, like, you know, like, you get to interview your fellow countryman during a grand final, and he actually talked. Because I don't know if all of you actually like saw like Brocky's interviews. Usually he doesn't talk a lot. Usually it's like, yes, no, yes, thank you, and done, right? But here he actually talked. So like, you have Brocky who's talking, he's in the grand final, and he's Latvian. For me, like, that combination was like amazing.
How do you feel that you evolved as a talent after WePlay Academy and IEM Katowice?
I would say that the difference between the Heccu that was like before WePlay, after WePlay, before IEM Katowice, after IEM Katowice, before EPL season 15, and after EPL season 15, that like my confidence kept on going up, and I was like becoming like more easygoing and way more forgiving. Because, you know, like in the beginning, when I was doing WePlay, like, whenever I would make like some kind of mistake, maybe like for example, I would make a mistake that, like, I would say, hey, the score was 16-14, but in reality the score was 16-13, right? I'll be like, how could I do that? Like, Heccu, this is your job. You had like one job and you can't even say like the right score, and you know, like, but right now, like, if I make a mistake like this, I'm like way more forgiving, because like it's one tiny little mistake, right? And eventually, like, no one will keep that in mind forever. They'll not be like, oh, that's the Heccu that could not say 16-13 instead of 16-14, you know? Like, you become like way more forgiving, like, to yourself, which is like really important, because if you make a mistake and you keep on like replaying it in your head like over and over and over again, like, it's not good. You will self-sabotage yourself, because, you know, like, you make like another mistake and you're like, I made another mistake, and you add it into the loop, and like, and it goes, keeps on going. Like, if you can let it go, like, it really will help you out, like, because then you be more jolly, more happy, and it will be easier for you to do it. Because, like, you know, like, you can think about like one thing at a time, or maybe not one thing, like a few things at a time. The less things you're thinking of, the better like that one thing will be. But if you're like thinking about this interview, but somewhere back in your head you're also thinking about this problem, it will be way harder to make this important thing like, good. So if you can just ditch that and just focus on this, it's amazing. So I would say, from like where I started and where I'm right now, I became like way more forgiving, like, to myself, which helps me a lot.
How are you planning to deal with so-called inconsistency in esports jobs to stay afloat?
So in my opinion, if you manage to get like one big gig, 2 big gigs, or 3 big gigs, it doesn't yet mean that you already guaranteed yourself like a spot in the top. It means like, yeah, big organizations gave you the opportunity to show yourself, but it doesn't mean that like you are already there and you can just like sit down, relax, and wait for like another DM or a WhatsApp message with an invitation to the big next event or to the next major and stuff like that. I would say, you, besides like waiting for another opportunity, you need to keep on doing something else in the scene. If you're like not in the top, because, you know, also like, for example, like casters like Machine or Sponge, or like hosts, for example, like Stana, at this point they don't need to do anything in the scene like as an extra thing, because they have been doing this stuff for so many years. They really established themselves as like tier 1 talents. There's so many people that know what kind of product they produce, and those people like really like this kind of product. They guarantee that like they will be getting invited like to tier 1 events. When it comes like to upcoming talents, you still need to keep on growing, developing yourselves. So like, you either like, for example, produce like some kind of content on YouTube, or maybe like, you can be like extremely like active on Twitter. It can be like through like posting your own stuff. Maybe like, hey, maybe your thing is statistics, right? And whenever there's an event, you'll post like statistics, like, those are the maps that were being played, or like, this is like the information about like one of the players, you know, like maybe stats and stuff like that. So you need to keep on doing something else. You can't just like sit on your butt and be like, And now I wait. I wait for the next invitation. I've been waiting for 5 months. There's no invitation. I'll keep on waiting. No, you need to keep on doing. Like, for example, for me, like, yeah, I am waiting like to get like new messages or new offers. But in the meantime, I work with HLTV. Like right now, like we produce HLTV Peak, like a weekly show. So I am still like participating in the activities of the community by like just doing something that is not specifically like broadcast down, but still kind of like relate because I'm kind of like hosting a show. So you know, like you just need to keep on doing things that is maybe like not related to specifically being like a talent, let's say. Just keep on doing stuff. Find a way, whatever like works for you.
Doesn't it ever worry you not having any consistent gigs in this industry?
So I would say that I worry and I don't worry about my upcoming gigs at the same time, because of course, like when like there's like an event announced, you're like, am I gonna be a part of the lineup? Am I not gonna be in the part of the lineup? Like, did they not like my job before? Did they like my job before? Like, but the thing is, I have this thing in my brain that like whenever I start questioning myself, I say it's like, calm down. Questioning yourself or being worried will not help the situation. You know, like if I will sit, you know, like for like a whole week waiting, like maybe for like for a message from a ESL or any like other organization, like maybe like from WePlay or Faces, like thinking like, will they invite me or not? Will they invite me or not? Like, will it increase the chance of them inviting me? No, in no way. Me like sitting and stressing out will increase the chances. Will it ruin like my health? Most likely, yes. Most likely, stressing out like and just, you know, like sitting at home and just thinking and worrying will be like really bad for like my health, for my body and stuff like that. So like I usually like whenever like I start like, you know, getting into that loop of like I'm worried, I'm like, no, Heccu, calm down, this will not help you out, just focus on something else. If that thing comes, it's good. If not, well, unlucky, that's unfortunate, but let's like not focus on that, because it's only, especially for example, like if you are stressing out that you will not get invited and then you don't get invited, you're like, oh yeah, I knew it, I knew they would not invite me, like, you know, like, and you get even sadder. But for example, if you were not so focusing on it, like of not getting invited, and you don't get invited, you're like, well, at this point I was not really expecting it, so it's fine. So if you should like really have a second thing where you can like earn money, maybe like on a you know, like on a monthly basis, you should like only rely like on your to have like income only from your gigs. If you're like not an established tier 1 caster, right? Like that's what I'm saying, like do like YouTube content or any other type of content, so you can have like something like on monthly basis, some kind of like just income. So maybe you're not earning money, like your bank account is like not going up, but at least like it's staying like at a, you know, like at a zero, like in a zero, in a way that it's not going up, it's not going down. Because if you're not doing anything at all, like it will go down, because you'll have to pay the rent, you'll have to pay for your food and stuff like that. So if you can at least like cover that by doing some like YouTube, any other content, that's amazing, you know. So yeah, I would say just the most important thing that people need to do in not only in CSGO, like just in life, worrying will not improve anything. It will not. It will only ruin your health and it will make you sad. Just like try to focus on something else. Just like focus on your hobby or something. Like don't like get into this loop of questioning yourself and stressing out and being.
So what's next in the pipeline for you?
I would say that before I got to do events like IEM Katowice and ESL Pro League Season 15, that was kind of like my goal. Like, you know, like before that, like my goal was like, okay, I want to try to be a part of like a tier 1 tournament, right? And afterwards I was like, okay, I want to try to be a part of like more than like one event, and I got to do that. Right now my goal is like to do like more events, but there's like nothing like really like specific as like previously, you know, like right now it's just like I want to keep on doing what I'm doing right now. Right now there's like no like specific goal that's like I want to be here, right? I just like, I mean, of course, okay, let's say like this, I do want to become an like established tier 1 talent, but I know that will take a lot of time. And even if you are like the most like amazing interviewer, it will still take you a lot of time, because in the end of the day you also need to grow like a community around, and that takes time. Like that is something that you cannot, you cannot buy. That is like not something you can like increase the speed of. Like it just grows naturally. Like, but the better you are, the quicker it grows. But you can't just be like, and it's so just keep on improving myself, keep on being a part of a community, having a great time. I don't know, it just I know like there are things that like I need to improve myself as a talent, maybe to work on some of my pronunciations and things like that. But the more I see other talents like in the industry that are not native English speakers, because like you can expect that like an American person like from UK or like an Australian will have like this like perfect English, but then you see some other talents, for example, that will have like some sort of accent, or like maybe some like like special pronunciations. And we see like such people like we see such people like in Dota, we see such people like in CSGO, and it's absolutely normal. And so, like I can improve, but I'm kind of happy with what I have. I think it's like good enough for now, but I am working on improving.
Would you be willing to work in other games if an opportunity arises?
So I would say that, for example, at the moment, I don't feel confident enough to be a part of a different talent lineup that is not related to CSGO. Because even when it comes like to CSGO, like I spend like a lot of time like watching different tournaments, watching some like different demos, like watching different podcasts, like to kind of learn like the storylines, like to learn like all the nuances of the game. And that is something that gives me like confidence that like, okay, I understand this topic good enough to make interviews. Like I might not be good enough to be like a caster, because I don't know like hey, all of the like the 1,000 ways you can execute on Mirage and stuff like that, right? No, there's some basic ones, but that's not enough to be like a tier 1 caster. But when it comes to like a game like Valorant or League of Legends and stuff like that, I did not learn anything about like their scene or about their game. Okay, when it comes to League of Legends, like I used to play League of Legends until like 2015, and a lot of things changed since then. Besides like most of the players that like I used to follow like are gone, and all of the champions, the meta, the changes that they made to the dragons, like there's like so many things. And if I'm like a part of their lineup, I don't want to make like those kind of interviews where I'm like, so do you like doing esports? Yeah, it's nice to play computer games for a living, right? Like, you don't want to have like those kind of like super mega like basic questions. The same thing is like like the stereotypical questions in CSGO. Like you can ask something like, what is the resolution that you play on? Do you prefer like playing the M4 or AK-47? What is your favorite map? This is like the type of question you can ask to any player. It doesn't matter like if they're like an IGL, if they're like an entry fragger or stuff like that. It doesn't matter. Or like even like he can be like an IGL, but there's like you have like different type of IGLs. Like, you can have like a really aggressive one that goes like into the face, or the one that sits like more behind, the one that like calls on the go, or the one that prepares like really prepares like in advance. And by knowing this, you can make really nice questions. If you don't know this, you go for the super basic questions. So like I feel that at the moment I'm not really ready to be a part of like a talent lineup for like a really good event when it comes to like Valorant, League of Legends, or any type of game. Maybe eventually I will try to like also learn about like a different game or a different scene, but I like taking like one step at a time. Like even though like I spent like now like a few years investing myself like into CSGO, I still feel there's like still a lot of things I can improve when it comes like to knowing what is happening in the scene and what is like the game itself, right? So like once I feel like super mega confident like to 100% in CSGO, I'll be like, okay, now I can try to like add like another adventure, but at the moment I just want to focus on CS.
Last but not least, any shout outs before we wrap this up?
Shoutouts. Okay, This is my traditional shout out. I want to shout out to all of the people, all of the players from the Baltic scene, because they are amazing. They are amazing. I'm just saying, like, you know, like we had like full French lineups, full Brazilian lineups. We had full, for example, like CIS lineups, different lineups, like maybe either for like one country or from like multiple countries, but all of the players will speak like the same language. The only team that won a major, right, is FaZe. And they have 2 players on the Baltic stage. So if you wanna improve your lineup, you should check out this region. It's really good. Latvians, Estonians, Lithuanians, they're really good. There's not a lot of play. That's the thing. Like, we don't have a lot of players because the overall population for like 3 countries is like 6 million. Like Latvia has like 1.9 or 1.8. Lithuania has a little bit more, and Estonia has like a little bit less. And in total, it's like, yeah, in total it's like around like 6. But we have like really good players, you know. There's not a lot of us, but we're big.